What's up, everybody? We're back here for another episode of the Level Up Your Life podcast, and we have a special guest here, Marilyn Moore, a social media expert and doer of everything. We couldn't really categorize it down to one particular category because she does so many different things, especially from the digital aspect. So thank you so much, Marilyn, for coming down and spending some time with us. I know you have a really busy schedule. You're all over the place. You were in the Bay earlier, but you're from Fresno, or you live in Fresno.
Yep.
So thank you for taking some time.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to finally meet you. Yes. I know we've been going back and forth a lot, so we finally got that connection going.
The power of social media, right?
Yes.
You know, we have quite a few different connections, as we've learned here today while just chatting. But, you know, the power of social media, being able to collaborate and connect with people. And even though we haven't necessarily met, we've had plenty of conversations and probably been inspired by each other's work and different things like that. So it's something I love about the digital world that we live in. So before we get into kind of like what you're up to and everything, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you got kind of here today.
Okay, so I'm from the Bay Area. I was born and raised in San Mateo. And so I came to Fresno for college. They had a great broadcasting degree there. So I said, okay, let's move to Fresno and go there. It wasn't my first choice, but I said, let's do it. So I went through the broadcasting program. I got a nutrition degree as well.
Wow.
And an event planning degree. I was kind of like all over the place. I was originally saying to myself, okay, I want to be the host of The Biggest Loser, the TV show. And I was like, I can tie everything in together. But I graduated and I did a ton of internships. A lot of people ask me, you know, how have you got to where you are today? I said, do internships throughout college, because nobody's going to hire somebody that has no experience. And I don't hire anyone that doesn't do internships.
Well, that's always one of the biggest complaints people say. How do I get experience if I've never done it before? Well, internships.
I go, well, don't be lazy in college. Stop the partying, buddy. Like, what do you want me to tell you? So my last internship, I got a job at a small marketing advertising agency. And then I was there for a few years, ended up just cold turkeying it and quitting, and was in this limbo of, where do I go? Do I go to the Bay Area and be working at Twitter and Google and Facebook and go play ping pong all day and eat great meals? I was like, okay, that sounds kind of good. But then there's like this itching part of me that was like, I know I can do more with my life and I have a bigger purpose. So I just got out and started talking to businesses in the Fresno area and decided to start my own, advertising marketing agency. Wow. And it was just all, cold going into businesses. And my first week after talking with them, I got 2 clients, which is it's very hard to get a client. So getting 2 in 1 week, I was like, what? And I was making more money than I've ever made in a month. And I'm like, this is wild. So I didn't have a name. So I had to quickly come up with a name and started working with them. And then I just kept trying to get more clients, got some interns to help out, and then quickly grew my agency, which is now Prem PR and Social. And we focused a lot on the digital aspect of things, so the social media. And then secondly, the public relations side of it. It all kind of funnels into one another. And I'm really to a point where we're almost like a full service agency. We've got photography, videography, a lot of great content creation, website development, graphic design. I'm really big on, branding and strategy and, sitting down with the client and saying, okay, where do you want to be? What are your goals? Let's devise a plan and take it step by step and get you there. We're going through 2 rebrands right now with 2 clients, which is really exciting. So being there at like the inception of the brand and taking it to that next level. And so it's really just, formed into this beautiful thing that I didn't necessarily know was going to happen, but it did. And, as the times are changing, things are just, you're having to adapt as well. And then on the side, I call my side hustle my TV show that I host. And I've been doing that now for, I think 5 years. So this started before my company came into play, which I've had for almost 4. And it's a local TV show in the Central Valley. It airs from, I actually think, Modesto. So you should be watching it every Friday.
I don't have cable, so I apologize.
Well, no, it's on 26. Oh, no. So you have no excuse. So you better start watching it.
Friday, what time?
11 a.m.
11 a.m., okay.
Channel 26, Modesto to Bakersfield, and we feature businesses all throughout the valley. So it almost coincides with what I already do, which is pretty cool, getting to know businesses, talk with them. It airs on TV, and so I've been, known in the valley as that person as well. Yeah. And then, so it's my side hustle. And I always tell everyone, you need to have a side hustle. I don't care what it is. Have a side hustle on the side. Do something that you've been passionate about, whether that's quilting and selling it or making hand soaps and selling it. Have something else that you're doing. And then a hobby of mine that I still get paid for, which is great, is acting and doing commercials and stuff like that. So I was just in a short film a few weeks ago, which was a lot of fun. And then I've been in national commercials. So, a lot of people, like you said, they go, what do you do? Because I see you everywhere. I'm not exactly sure, but I always say, like, my main thing is my business, my baby, is my, social media PR firm. And then I do my acting and my TV stuff on the side.
And you could make the argument that those really just funnel to your business, you know? And I think it's like a perfect recipe for like what you would want as a CEO of a company. And I think sometimes people try to either make the personal brand about them and then not about the business. But it really, when you build a personal brand, it is a funnel to your actual business, or can be a funnel. And it sounds like you've been able to do that through building a personal brand. And you guys don't just work with local businesses, right? For your agency, you work national brands, correct?
Right. So we have local clients, which are great. But like I said, I'm from the Bay Area. So I've got a lot of clients there. Texas, New York. They're all over the map. A lot of national clients, which is really great. They get, everyone gets the same amount of attention, and I really built a business off that personal approach. That's what the P in Prem stands for. So personalized approach. And I quickly realized that's just how I've been successful, is I don't just treat you like your cattle. You have, my cell phone number. We work together. You know who I am. We're very, personalized together. So I like that approach. But yeah, local, national, you name it. We're all over the map, which is really awesome.
That's great. I love how you talk about the personal aspect. And I think a lot of times that's what separates a digital marketer from like a digital marketing agency, is the ability to be able to be very personal and to understand the brand. And it's not just about running ads, sending emails, building a website. There's so much more in understanding the brand and really getting to know the brand. Like the conversation we had before about the client you were dealing with, you knew so much about each, sometimes this person's this way and sometimes this. And to know that it allows you to really understand the brand and then to be able to take their vision and to put it into play. And so that speaks a lot about the type of person you are and the leader you are for your organization. So I'm going to take a step back here. Because as much as this is our first time getting to know each other, I gotta unpack some of this stuff. So you wanted to be in television prior, like going into college? That was Where did that come from?
Oh gosh, ever since I can remember, I've wanted to be like on TV and doing those things. When I was younger, my first agent was Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen's agent.
No way.
So, and that was a terrible story. I got into a Skippy peanut butter commercial, but my parents went through a divorce, and so that ruined my dreams. So I was like, great, now I've got to do it myself, at my age. So originally I did want to be on TV. I interned at news stations. Quickly realized that is not for me. I do not like that structure.
It's a different world.
It's a different world. And more power to him, but I just knew I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So, it was like almost perfect timing for you to, like, you explored that didn't work. All of a sudden, like, digital is really starting to explode. Video is, how old are you?
28.
28. Okay. So you're a little bit younger than me, but YouTube is really starting to come out. Video is now starting to pop up on social media. Instagram's putting full length videos out.
Right.
All of a sudden, this became this platform for you to be able to pursue the world that you wanted, but in this uncaged environment. Because I think there's so many old industries that are like very rigid, and this is how we do this. And digital or social media has allowed us to kind of blow those walls down and do whatever the hell we want to do it, and do it the way you want to do it. So has that been something you've been able to leverage? And is that what kind of led into your television show, or was the television show what happened first and then you started to do more on digital?
The television show was just a by chance networking connection.
No way. Wow.
LinkedIn. Someone saw, hey, I saw you have TV on your LinkedIn. Are you doing anything with it? No, I'm not. Oh, cool. We've got this show where you work into your schedule. And
so you were posting on LinkedIn videos 5 years ago.
I had just had a LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I believe I actually had my reel up from college. So it wasn't, and I wasn't trying to look for a TV job, but just by chance, it happened, and they said it works in your schedule, and that's it. And I said, oh, that sounds too good to be true. So let's just do it. And so I just took the leap and did that. And then I quickly started getting more into digital, and then starting an Instagram just for me and my personal brand. Cause I said, okay, and this was probably, I think 3 or 4 years ago, I go, this is going to start growing. So I need to get on that trend fast. And that's when I just started my own personal Instagram, which is maybe like 8,000 now. And it's hard when you have so much going on, how to work on your own personal brand.
100%.
You know? But yeah, I mean, leveraging those channels has been, how I've been successsul.
That's awesome. I really think there's a lot of power in that digital platform, whether or not you're building it like Gary Vee every day, it's just sometimes hard. I have a business to run. I can't do this. I can't post as much, but I know that has become a great resource for customers to get to know me, to see behind the scenes for the brand, and just to really just build awareness to like what my brands do. Because really, I mean, sure, like you are your brand. Like so much of your personality, you're not this like stuck up person behind the scenes, but in public, you're like, oh, like all bubbly. You're very much, it's very authentic, and you can see when you go on your digital or your agency's page and yours, they flow very much the same way. The verbiage is very much the same way. You can tell it's your personality. And I think that's a great thing that social media has allowed us to see inside a lot of businesses. Kind of almost like look under the hood of the company and see who's really behind it. And in this current day and age, we've obviously seen cancel culture happen because CEOs are no longer allowed to do whatever the hell they want, and their company does something else. Really, it's one or hand in hand kind of in this current day. And so it's awesome to see how you've been able to leverage this passion of yours to funnel and help your business grow. And so I obviously was creeping around on your page. You've done a lot during this quarantine period. It didn't slow you down. You pushed digital more. You're obviously still on the road going around. Yeah. But I've seen you've been posting a lot of like workout videos, but you've always kind of had that aspect. You mentioned you have a nutrition background. How did that come in, and how has that been able to work into your brand?
So when quarantine hit, it was, how do we adapt? I'm like, a CEO, you need to adapt. You can't just sit there and start crying and go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to my business? So I was like, okay, people are going to be home more. I'm going to start building my personal brand more. I want them to know that I'm here for them. Oh. I'm part of the community. I'm going to do whatever I can, even including my clients, reaching out to each one of them and saying, hey, I get what's going on. Let's figure out a way to adapt to these changes. Maybe some off the bat, I remember called me up and were like, hey, we need to just stop working together. I don't know what to do. Called me a week later, like, okay, I freaked out. That's not a good idea to do that. I said, no, it's not. Some have tapered off, and because some of my restaurants in the Bay Area, they can't afford to stay open. Yeah. It's cost them less to just be closed. So with clients wise, we adapted to the changes. And then with me, I started the workout series. I said, people are home, they can't go to the gym. Why don't you work out with me? Let's start just building that personal connection. So you get to know me better. And like you kind of said, across the board, like I cannot lie who I am. Yeah. I've always had this internal struggle of, should I be more corporate? And should I, do certain things to be this CEO? But I'm like, it's just not me. Yeah. But that's why people like to work with me, because I'm very authentic and honest and will tell you how it is, and I don't just tiptoe around stuff. It's like, I'm not going to take your money because this is just not going to work, or this is going to work and this is what it's going to cost, and I believe in this. I'm not just telling you, I'm not trying to BS you to just take your money, because I'm not that kind of a person, So that's just how I am. But I really took that time to generate myself and be a brand, and really encourage people to see who I am more. And I feel like I wish I could do that more. And that was a time where I said, okay, Marilyn, you need to be on camera more. You need to just do your lives. You need to do it. And because most of the time I'm just so busy doing other stuff, but I really made it just a point to do that. But it's been a very interesting time, and it still is, just adapting to the changes. But I've always told everyone, I will not fail through this. I will not. If anything, I've grown more through this. And it's because I've adapted and I've found different avenues. I know I was talking to you about my Prem merch, what we call it, and we created merchandise, really cute stuff, really high quality, just cute sayings on shirts to sell and to not only brand Prem more, but to benefit small businesses. And we give back to small businesses, and whoever purchases a shirt, you put in a name of a small business you'd like money to go to, and we do a raffle at the end. So just certain things like that I was just trying to do more of. And it's been working and it's been good. So just figuring out those things and adapting to the changes. And clients wise, one of my clients is Riley's Brewing. And when this all happened, he's shifted into a hand sanitizer factory. So half brewery, half hand sanitizer. So, that was another way of just adapting to the changes and figuring out a way to make this more beneficial. And he did millions of dollars in the past few, months from this. And we got him a ton of local press on the PR side of things. So A lot of clients just calling me and saying, okay, what do I do now? Okay, you own a barbershop. You're, very brick and mortar. You have to go in to get a haircut. Let's shift to a model to where we can sell gift cards online where you get 5 haircuts and the 6th free. And so we're still encouraging people to buy now because when you do open, they can use this stuff. And and it was all digital. Everyone had to go digital. And if you own a mattress store and you're not selling mattresses online on a website, you need a website now to sell e-commerce. So it was just that huge shift that we saw.
And I think that's there was a lot you said right there. So start with first, like the innovation part as a CEO. You said to yourself, I'm not going to fail through this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the kind of mindset you have to have. You have to go, okay, this is not going to stop me. And because it's very easy to, especially the first week, like you said, that your clients were like, let's just shut it off. I mean, I remember the first day I was like shutting off all our ad spend, like, no, we got to stop it all. And then it's like 10 minutes later, you're like, okay, turn this back on. Like, calm down. Like, you can't freak out. And I think that's something that you have to be realistic with is like, no, I'm not gonna go backwards. I'm gonna utilize this time. And so a lot of this had to do with your mindset. Mm-hmm. Have you ever experienced anything along these lines of, I mean, obviously nothing like Corona, but like, have you had challenging times in your business where you faced failure before, or has this really been one of your biggest challenges for yourself?
I think this has definitely been the biggest challenge for sure, because there's just too many unknowns. You can't control anything really. So that's the scariest thing is you can't control stuff. You don't know if one of your clients is going to go out of business. You don't know maybe behind the scenes what's going on. So this has been the hardest time. But like I've said, mindset's so big for me. I know there's been lulls where I'm like, I feel like I'm not getting more clients right now. And I always have a goal each month to meet a certain client goal for myself. And so in my mindset, I go, okay, I haven't gotten calls right now and I'm not getting new clients this month. What the heck's going on? Let's get the ball rolling. And then I start doing organic outreach. And then there you go. I get all these new clients. So it's a mindset and then just being proactive with it.
Yeah, so much so. I mean, being proactive, being willing to innovate, mm-hmm. you're figuring ways out. Like you said, okay, we're not getting calls in. What needs to happen? All right, I need to go out, reach out to people organically, figure out. I mean, I know we had a conversation about local company. And so, I'm losing my mic here. So with that innovation aspect for your clients, you were able to take, like you said, the mattress. If you're not selling mattresses online, you need to go online. Was that a difficult aspect to help the business go to the e-commerce, or was that something that, like, because of this situation, because of the timing, because it almost forced people's hands, did you see more people shifting that maybe prior to Corona were apprehensive to launching an e-commerce site?
Yeah, so I would say apprehensive, and then once this happened, they go, okay, no, I need to. Yeah. So they did it, digital ad spend as well. A lot of people didn't want to do that, and then after this, they go, okay, I see the benefit. Yeah. And cost per click was super low during this. Really I'm sure you knew about this. And so I said, there's no reason why you shouldn't be on here, like in doing Facebook and Instagram ads. I mean, you have to be doing it. And I would tell them, I don't care what you're going to say to me right now. You have to be on digital. Yes. Like, you're going to fail. So you need to do it. So yeah, I mean, a big surge in e-commerce and then doing just digital, social media, ad spend, all that stuff.
And are you seeing people creating the habit of actually like utilizing social now when maybe they had a lot of companies have social, but they don't utilize mm-hmm. it. They're not posting on their Instagram story. They're not really using the time or their actual wall for any brand building. Are you seeing more people shifting towards that and like creating new habits and like actually having fun with it? Because I feel like some people are like social, like I don't know that like, especially for older people, like that's my son or that's the younger generation, and they've stayed away from it. But I'm starting to see people have fun with it that mm-hmm. were very, very timid towards the digital platforms.
Yeah, so definitely people are having more fun being on it more. And if anything, they hand it over to us and they go, you have fun and you go and do that. And it just, because I'm always big on, you have something you're good at and you need to be doing. We know what we're good at. So you focus on you and we'll focus on us. Nice. Like, you don't need to be working 8 hours a day and trying to put out a post. Yeah. It's just going to look crappy and people are going to see that it's crappy. So that's where it was just a shift. Like, hey, I know I have to be on here now and I want to be posting content. Maybe we were just consulting with them, like, hey, I'd do some of this stuff, or just totally tossing it to us. But yeah, a huge surge in people wanting to be more on social media channels.
It's exciting. I've seen so many brands that would have zero digital presence.
Yeah.
Or ability to sell online, shifting and having massive success. I've seen, event planners pivot and now are like launching crazy types of products, whether it be like, I mean, they're like the darn near brand new Martha Stewart's online, and they've taken all their great ideas of event planning and like turning it into Zoom parties. My sister's a wedding planner, and she started creating like Zoom packages and doing all these fun little like things for the kids. And she's not a kids planner, she's a wedding planner, but she like started doing youth parties and like creating fun ways to do it. It obviously wasn't the same revenue that a wedding would get, but it's these fun digital strategies. And for those brands that delayed, I mean, we're seeing it again now with a second pretty much quarantine, or you know, walking back at least the restrictions here in California. We're seeing those brands really be impacted, the ones that didn't take that step towards it. So with all that being said, what are some things that a brand that maybe is new to digital, how would you help them? I mean, obviously everybody's very specific, you know, brand specific, but like in general topics, what are some points that like areas of pain for most brands, and how would you address them?
I think the first thing is just getting started, just getting yourself out there. I'd say good content. So hiring a photographer, a videographer to create some really good content, and then just posting consistently. You know, a lot of people will post once and then you forget about it. Really paying attention to hashtags. Hashtags are really big. Contests, doing some giveaways, connecting with local influencers as well. Those are all big. It's just the whole thing about social media is engagement. You want people to be engaged with your content and think it's cool, and they want to be a part of your culture. So it's just really a matter of being consistent with it and posting good stuff. I can't tell you how many people just post blurry photos that are, you know, and they think it's okay, I'm getting something out. It's like, no, that's your brand. And they're going to look at that as negative if you're posting something blurry, especially if you own like a restaurant or something in the food industry. You want it to look good. You want that food to be like, oh my gosh, I'm scrolling. Now I want to go get that burger. Yes. You know?
I mean, McDonald's doesn't post their true photos. They're very...
and we know why.
Exactly. I mean, if you saw a normal Big Mac, you'd be like, I don't want that. Like, you know, but you see those fries just dancing out of that little cup, you want to go eat them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And are you seeing people try new things? Are people being a little bit risky? I don't want to say riskier, but being more outgoing with exploring their digital strategies?
I'm seeing a lot of people, a lot of business owners now doing Instagram TVs and lives, and it's cute because I'll hop on and I see maybe 2 or 3 people, you know, and you're like, but hey, that's okay because they're getting out there and they're doing that, and they know it's going to benefit them in the long run. Like IGTV right now, that's with the algorithm going on, that's what they want you to be doing. So when you do that stuff in lives, the algorithm picks it up as, oh wow, this is a good account, let me keep putting them in the forefront. So just doing those simple things. Giveaways, I've seen a ton of giveaways during the quarantine, which is good. They just want to stir more engagement. So definitely people are stepping outside of the box, which is great because you need to be doing it. And even when we get out of all this, you still have to be doing it.
100%. And those lives are they're so easy.
Yeah.
Like, and if you don't have, say, the money to be able to buy or pay for a photographer or a videographer, I mean, every video is kind of a little grainy anyways, but you go on there and like you're able to actually build connection. I mean, I've seen... We have a local health and fitness expert here that she's been doing like every morning an IG live, like workout, Pilates, yoga, some sort of core. And it's like now consistently for probably, I don't want to screw this up. So sorry, Victoria, like 120 days. I don't know how many straight days that she's been putting this out. And you can see the engagement and like people, oh man, I love this. This is what I look forward to every day. And it's like, I mean, we're sitting here talking about it, and like that, I don't think people understand the power to consistency and being consistent with the same message. But when you're able to consistently stick to a plan like that, you really start to pick up momentum. Now her gym is closed. She's not able to drive. I mean, well, it was closed. Now it's it might be back up. But like, you know, she wasn't able to drive revenue at that time, but she was building the brand and like working towards when she reopens. She's a household name. Everybody knows her. And there's so much power in that consistency and just taking the risks. You know, for us, when we started our digital strategy or when we first really took it serious, I used to pop up a tripod out front with my iPhone. And I was like, hey, I'm Billy from GoFresh. Well, I think it was PFS Meals at the time. And I was like a Billy Mays like video commercial from OxyClean back in the day. I was just hyped. You know, I was just excited. And people were like, dude, I love this, man. This guy, you know, he's all energetic. And people were able to relate to that and get to know me. And then they would see me at like, at the store or at one of our Go Fresh locations, they'd be like, oh, you're the guy from the videos. And you start to build that connection and become the face of the brand. And so, and even going back to what you said, that one or two people on there, and like, that can be very discouraging, humbling, and discouraging.
Exactly.
So, where you're like, what am I doing wrong? And how do you help people get through that?
It's a lot of like coaching, and I do the TV stuff, so I can coach them on hey, this is your presence on TV, and this is how you should be acting, and watch your ums and your ahs and all that stuff. So helping them there, and then just saying, it takes time to build a brand and to build your presence and to have someone want to watch you. I know there's a tequila company, I think it's like 21 Seeds. And every morning at 9 a.m., they would have a girl from San Francisco that they hired do a workout, and super fun music, 30 minutes. Every morning I'd click on it and be like, I need to get up and do this. Like, you just got this, like, I need to do it. Yeah. They're a tequila company. I don't like tequila. But now I want to buy their tequila because they provided some entertainment and a great workout for me every single day, Monday through Friday. So these are those things where, like, co-promotion wise, I'm so big on co-promotions with my clients. I go, we have to co-promote with businesses that are non-competing, but complementary. Yeah. And how can we do that? A tequila company found someone that does workouts and put it on their page every day. And they gained my and, my business.
And we're talking about it right now.
We're talking about it right now. So what can you do to do those things, to provide value, really providing value for your followers?
I think especially right now, too, it's nobody really cares. I saw somebody post this the other day. There was like, nobody cares about your brand or your story unless they know that you care about them. And like, you have to be able to provide value. It can't always just be about, look at me, but like, how can I provide value, and whether it be collaborations? I'm always big on collaboration over competition. Mm-hmm. And how can we support each other? And people start to vibrate with that. And they're like, oh, that company's working with my favorite ice cream brand or my favorite this or that. And I've seen so much of that. And so it's cool that you mentioned that, because the more you really look at it, you're like, you see that a lot. And workout videos they're so easy. I mean, literally, it's a lot of people are already doing it. Why not pop up a video and do it? And it really just builds this community. And that's one thing that I know for us at Go Fresh, we've been really focused on. It has been building the community, and how can we connect with our people even more in this kind of challenging time. I mean, for us, we rely on busy people.
Right.
If you're not busy, you don't need to buy meal prep.
Yeah.
You really don't. And so we are constantly working with, okay, can we launch a cooking, a recipe guide so that you can cook at home and still remain healthy while at home? Because unfortunately, not a lot of people are eating healthy when they're at home, because they're just sitting around. They don't have a lot going on, so they're just munching on stuff. And so it's like, how can we create that value for our customer that it keeps us top of mind, so that when things come back, and even we've been worked on products on how to price it at a friendly price point, so that people that have lost their jobs can still afford food from us. Yeah. It's finding that niche with your clients to be able to build the community and connect with them.
Exactly.
And so on the agency aspect, so when you're working with a company, are you guys working from, I mean, you obviously work with national companies. Are you running full service? Are you running ads? Are you creating content? Are you doing the full element? Because I think sometimes, I mean, maybe I state this question a little bit differently. When you're starting, like, as a company and you're starting to work with an agency, it's kind of a scary world.
Totally.
Because you can go to some and they're like, oh, you want a digital agency, and they like throw the whole book at you, and you're like, whoa, I just needed this. And there's sometimes like from no agency to agency world, it can be a big jump for some companies, and especially in this time where they're watching money. How are you able to help different level brands? Or are you working with different level brands?
Yeah, so I always try and bridge that gap of the scariness level. So I don't go in and say, this is everything that you need. And like I said, I kind of take it more of like a phased approach and go, if I was in your shoes, let's start with this. And I do present a few different packages and say, okay, we can go all in, or we can start small and grow big. And I mean, I understand, I own a business too. So it's like, I feel for them on that front. So I'm trying to remember your question.
You basically, are you working with people from all different ends? Like, are you entry level businesses full? Are you doing pretty much all aspects of the brand?
Yes. So it really depends. Some of the smaller clients just social media, so we just focus on the social. The bigger ones, full service. So social, PR, graphic design, website development, videography, photography. One of the clients we have, they're a social media agency, but they're a national brand. So it requires a ton of hours every month because it's, creative, creating the content, doing the video, doing the photo, responding and engaging with hundreds of thousands of people every month. So it's different, I guess what people really need, but there's the smaller clients, or we're just focused on some social and they're just local, or they're a national brand and we need to do total full service. I just picked up a client the other day from New Jersey, and she owns a really large breastfeeding company, and now she's trying to grow a course for women in entrepreneurship. So now we're going to help her with that. And so we're going to build out a website and social and PR and all that stuff. So it just kind of depends on, like I said, sitting down and figuring out the plan. Like, what is our plan of action? Are we just trying to drive people in the store? Are you trying to become this big national brand? A brand people can say, oh, I know I get that, kind of like Kleenex, but it's a tissue, So just trying to figure out, like, what is their actual end goal? And then this is how we're going to get you there.
Yeah, I think in this time, it's like we all want to get to the end goal, but yeah. A lot of companies are on a budget, and a lot of entrepreneurs have never faced this like big question mark. Right. We really just don't know where things are going. So people are timid with some of their spending. And, I want people to feel, I think with digital, sometimes people get caught up into like, I can't afford that. And they don't even explore it because they feel like this person wants to take over everything. But it's awesome to hear that you guys can kind of build their own package for each client to help them really fit their needs and their budget. Because in this time, it is intimidating. But if you want that digital strategy, it pays to invest in somebody.
Exactly. And sometimes I'll just say, hey, what is your budget? If I'm totally out of budget for you, what's your budget? Okay, and this is what I can do to work with you. Maybe it's just on a consulting level and saying, hey, this is the content you should be posting. Maybe it's posting a few times a week for you. Maybe it is the full service management where I say, like, you don't need to worry about anything. We've got it all handled. So I try and be flexible in that regard. Like, hey, this is just what can you work with? And then we can, create a package that works for you.
Awesome. And so you talk a lot about PR. Mm-hmm. Often the digital, I feel like most agencies don't really even talk about that.
Yeah.
And it's not something that's on the forefront of most entry-level entrepreneurs' radar. Why is that a main part of your business, or it seems like a main part of your business, or is it a main part of your business?
It is. It's very important. PR is earning press, not purchasing it. So you're not buying a commercial or buying radio time. You're doing something so great that a magazine, a podcast, a TV station wants to pick it up and report on it. And that right there is earning media, and then you get your name out there and it generates leads. And it's hundreds of thousands of people usually. So we really find like strategic avenues on ways we can get you PR. So like I mentioned, the hand sanitizer with the brewery, that right there, we got every local press you could imagine. Or with, even with me, I'll do PR for myself. I just got into the female, I can't even remember the name right now.
I just saw it.
FFC.
Yes.
I'm drawing a blank. It's too late right now. So, doing that for myself and getting in there and pitching myself and pitching, brands. We're growing a franchise right now. We have 2 different franchise clients and growing them as, in franchise world or any trends. It's one of those things that you almost have to be doing. Smaller clients, it's tough because PR takes a lot of work. And unless you do have a budget for it, you really can't hire a PR agency. But those medium-sized to large-sized clients, for sure. That's PR. You need to be doing it because it gets your name out in the community and just starts branding you even more, either on a local scale or even on a national scale as well.
Well, and I think sometimes we hear PR and we hear magazine, and especially for a younger and experienced level entrepreneur, magazines are dead, newspapers are dead. But the article versus that, if you're running classified ads, yes, that is dead. That's probably not going to work. But if they put an article about you, some of our highest traffic days have been post a newspaper article.
Yeah.
And those have been huge pillars to our success in our business. But often people will, dude, I don't do that.
Yeah.
And you're like, but that creates third-party validation and so many aspects to help drive traffic to your business. And I think it's something that while it may not be technically, actually still is very digital, many people have kind of just underplayed it, but there's so much value in that. So it's awesome to hear you guys put that at the forefront. And when I was digging through your website, I just kept seeing that. And I was like, I got to talk to her about this and why this is at the forefront. Why do you think the other agencies don't really push that?
If you're a digital marketing agency, you're not going to push it. If you are a full service, it's funny. I won't even really see it in full service because you know what it is? It takes a lot of work. It's a ton of work. If you go to San Francisco, you won't find a contract under 10K. Like,
Jeez.
10K a month is what you're paying for PR. But it's because they know what they're doing and you're paying for that. You're going to get into the Wall Street Journal. You're going to get into the New York Times. And that's what you're paying for. So another thing is PR is never guaranteed. So you pay for something and you don't know if you're actually going to get it. But you have to trust that they have the right connections and they're doing their work, that you will get that press. That's the scary part about it. So that's where you have to be very strategic in hiring a PR firm, and it costs more money because what they're doing is taking a lot of time, and it's a lot of, you're paying for the connections they've built over the years. So that's why you're not going to see it much. Female Founders Collective came to my mind.
Okay.
So I did want to mention that because I did PR for myself and my team did it, and I had to apply to be in the program, and I got in. It's for women that own businesses, that have women working for them, that do good for the community, that are successful, and I got clients from that. And it's just another thing, like, hey, I didn't pay for it, but I pitched myself and I applied and I got in, and wow, they said that's so cool, and people saw that and they reached out to me. I don't want to say it's free, but I mean, yeah. Right? It was free. That's PR.
But it took the work. It took the sweat equity to go put the effort in.
Yes.
And when you can't maybe afford that, or you're trying to build a personal brand and you don't have an agency, you can still put the legwork in.
Right.
And so I don't want to discredit your agency and be like, don't hire them.
Oh,
but
no.
If you can't afford somebody like yourself, you can put in the legwork. It's not like, okay, well, I just can't afford it, so no PR for me.
Right.
But you can definitely put the work in and gain that notoriety. And there are smaller magazines and digital websites that are willing, or podcasts. I mean, I think podcasts is one of the easiest things to get on right now because there's so many people that have podcasts and are willing to, in this digital age, do a Zoom interview. I mean, I just did a Zoom interview last week with somebody in Texas. Never met him.
Yeah.
A couple DMs later, I'm on his podcast, and then I ended up getting some followers from it, and then I actually ended up getting a coaching client from it.
Wow.
And so it's like these things that you just don't know. And I've learned that a lot from Gary Vee. Is he just goes after he's on a ton of podcasts. You'd be like, you're on that person's podcast. It's their first podcast. Like. And he's willing to put himself out there because you never know who you be introduced to or exposed to, or that seed lands on the right person at the right time. And there's a lot of power in that. And so it's funny because it's something that, I'll be perfectly frank, I kind of put away as like a main part of importance for branding. But over the last 5-6 months, I've really put it as a forefront for my personal strategy as well as our brand, to be more exposed to local PR, especially for GoFresh being a more local company.
Right.
And it has driven so much community to us. And we've done everything from free local community pages and just gotten free publicity from that, to working with local realtors. I think real estate is one that I absolutely love because they really care about community.
Yeah.
And it's an easy way to get in with somebody that actually is a pillar in the community and wants to help support local businesses. So that's one that I've seen a lot of collaboration with, is real estate agents reaching out to local businesses and going, hey, I want to support you. I'm doing this IGTV, or I'm doing this, fill in the blank type of series, and I'm advertising. I think it's been so cool to see that type of PR happen for businesses.
Yeah, we're actually doing that right now for a real estate client of ours.
Awesome.
We're facilitating that stuff. But I thought of just had a news article come out about my side hustle and how I'm on TV and all the things that I do, and I got 3 or 4 new clients just from that. And it was just from being published in the Business Journal. And I had national companies that are in Fresno calling me saying, hey, I saw your article. Great. I'd love to just have you come in. Let's hear what you're doing. I know I want to be a part of it.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's as simple as that. Find something newsworthy about your business that provides value. You can't just say, hey, I'm Marilyn and I'm cool. Talk about me. No, you got to say, you have to have your story angle. Why am I cool? Yeah. Why could I provide value to your magazine, to your podcast? And then take whatever opportunity that you can get, because all those little opportunities are going to add up, and it adds to your SEO on, the World Wide Web and all your backlinks, and that gets a little digital talk. But I mean, it all helps in the long run.
Well, I mean, anything with your name and your brand's name in it is just another funnel for your business.
Yes.
So I'm gonna take a sidetrack off here. Talk a little bit about more about you. So just in this conversation, you are very focused. I like freaking hyper focused. Has this always been something for you? Like, I mean, you talked about wanting to be in television early on. Like, you seem very goal-oriented, focused, driven. Where did that all come from?
It's funny. I always think about it because if you knew my backstory and like how I got to where I am, I don't think anyone would understand. Like, what? That's your backstory? That's how you grew up? What? And so it's honestly been a lot of self-motivation. Like, I've always had to just motivate myself. Tell me, like, you can do this. You're going to do it. And I coach a lot of like my friends and family, and they'll say, I want to start a business, or, my mom just got laid off and she's saying, I need to get another job. I go, okay, well, are you doing anything? No. Okay, you need to get the ball rolling. You need to make one step, whether that's going to Indeed and looking at jobs or reaching out to someone, connecting with someone. So I've always been at a point in my life to just always make steps and little steps and talk to people and always network and never be afraid to talk to somebody. Also change. I love change. I'm like one of those weirdos that it's like, I love change. Not the COVID change. Yeah. Let me tell you that. Don't love that. But just like throwing me curveballs. I love change because it forces me to adapt, or stepping into a room full of women. Like, I do get intimidated with women. I don't know why that is. I feel intimidated. So I always tell myself, okay, I need to just be in a room full of women. I need to talk to all of them. And I have to put myself in those situations, things like that. So a lot of like self-motivation. When I started my business, I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. I think if I did, I would have been in marketing and entrepreneurship at a college. But once this all started, I started looking back on like my life and I go, I've always been an entrepreneur. Like this has been me. It just didn't click until that moment. I started a class in high school that was a college credit class, and I had to go to different schools and get everyone's signatures and get a petition going. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. Yeah, that was an entrepreneur thing. And then I had all these different businesses that I started, and I've always been very self-motivated and done things myself. So it just, I think I didn't realize it at the time, but then it all started funneling and made sense to me, going, yes, I should have always been doing something like this. Yeah. And like you said, I'm very hyper-focused. I'm a workaholic. I can't say I'm proud of it. I know it's terrible, but I am a workaholic. I love work and I thrive in a work environment. If I'm sitting at home on a couch and watching Netflix, my head's spinning and going, what's another business that I can create right now?
Yes.
It's a blessing and a curse all in one. So it's like, and I'm sure you get that too.
Yes. But I can tell you love what you do.
Yeah.
So and it's just challenging, like the work-life balance thing.
Yeah.
It's not unbalanced to somebody that loves what they do, because it seems perfectly balanced.
Right.
Like, you don't need other things in that time zone. Like, you're doing what brings you fulfillment.
Right.
If you weren't fulfilled, you probably wouldn't work the way you work,
yes.
And so that's the challenging part of that work-life balance, is because I definitely tell people, I'm like, do not work like me. It's not probably not healthy. You probably don't want to. But when you find something you love, you just go at it.
Right.
And like, you can hear that in your voice, like just how much you enjoy talking about this and working with your clients. And I could hear it when you were talking with your client, like, you love this. And so it's very easy for you to do that in the sense of the workload. It's not an easy job what you do, but you love what you do, and that makes the hours much easier to do.
Yeah.
Have you always been a workaholic?
No, no.
No, okay.
No, it's funny. I used to enjoy sleeping in.
I used to enjoy TV.
I used to enjoy TV. I used to enjoy sleeping in. But I think just my priorities have just totally shifted. And I've always enjoyed doing things and being active. I mean, in high school, I would do tennis 3 hours a day. Then I'd go to dance 3 to 4 hours a day, get home at 9, and then do the same thing over and over again. So I guess I could say I've always been very active and like always need to be busy and doing something. So I thrive just off like busy things and keeping my mind active, and whether that's even cleaning the house, which I don't enjoy doing, but
it's
I'm
keeping you going.
I've got to do something. Like, I just have to always be doing something and working on a project, or, as you said, you go to LA and you see all these entrepreneurs doing something, and it's like I have to do something. I can't just be sitting on a TV and watching it when the guy's in LA making a new business. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's literally it. It was. My fiance and I went out of town this last weekend, and we went to like Joshua Tree, and there was no TV, like no service, and like the first hour we were just like this is like she was like, I've got crazy anxiety right now. Yeah. Like, I just need to do something. We were both like, okay, how do we like decompress, like deep breaths? And then we finally played Jenga because we needed to do something to get our mind off of doing nothing. Like, it was the craziest thing. But I mean, there is, and I won't lie, coming back Monday, I was super energetic, super focused. Brain was rested. Not saying that I'm exhausted, but there is a different level of clarity that you have when you do have that extra rest. And so I'm becoming more of a fan of that balance, somewhat balance. It's still recklessness most of the time. It's go, get the job done. But I'm starting to find that balance of that, the ways that you can almost decompress and like shut down for a little bit, because I think it is important. I was listening to an interview with the gentleman Naval. I can't even pronounce his last name. Naval, something with an R, I believe. He's a tech investor from Silicon Valley. Okay. He was on Joe Rogan last year. He's a very high level thinker, just very intellectual. And he was saying that it's not like in this day and age, the Gary Vee hustle age. Yeah. It's like the quantity of decisions that you make. And he's like, but like, let me tell you, like the bagger boy at Safeway works extremely harder than I do. And he makes a lot more decisions than I do. I just make bigger, more important decisions, and I make less decisions. And he's like, the people try to focus on making the most decisions possible. And he's like, that's where you get brain exhaustion. And he's like, I focus on making the best decision. Yeah, I like that. And I was like, wow, like there's power in that, because my brain's always like, what new business can I start? What new idea can I, or what problem can I solve? And I'm like constantly running, and sometimes you're not focused on like a big project, and because you're like doing all these little small things. And so it's kind of taken, since I've listened to that podcast, whatever, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, it's really made me start to like think about like the level of thoughts that I have go through. Because I mean, we obviously have a ton of thoughts, but how can I like start to like create a bigger thought, and less so than so many little ones, really create a bigger plan. And so, even with that, going back into kind of your goal planning and your focus, it seems like you're very clear on your long term, and I think that's where you make that one big term decision. Often with goal planning, I think people make these like, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds, or I want to go on this vacation. Okay, that's like 30 days from now. Like, what's on day 31? Like, what are you doing then? Have you always had like kind of a longer term plan, or so that your big long-term plan, or do you like to have short-term plans too, or how do you kind of go about your goal planning strategy?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I always focus on the long term, and I always go, what is this decision going to get me in the long term? Short term, yes, but I've always been like a long-term thinker, and how is this going to benefit me in the long run? Yes, I have short-term goals, but I would say, if anything, long-term has always been like the outcome, or a decision I make now. How is this going to affect me, down the road? I was just talking yesterday about buying stocks, and I have stocks, and I'm like, okay, how is this going to affect me if I invest money now, and then 5 years down the road, the stock's supposed to be here or there. So, I mean, I've always been just like long-term thinking, Yeah,
I mean, I think your short-term decisions sounds like are driven by your long-term goals.
Yeah.
And there's power in that, and like you can tell you're very confident, you're very clear, and I always say like confidence or clarity brings confidence, and like when you're clear on what you want to accomplish, your confidence follows. But when you're unsure of where you're going, you're I mean, like when I drive somewhere I don't know the maps, I'm like, where the hell am I going? What street am I turning on? And that's like how I think a lot of people live their lives, is they don't know where they're going. They want to get somewhere, but they've never been there, and they don't have a plan or any direction to get there, and so their confidence lacks. And that's maybe where people fail to get going, where you're like, just get the ball going, but you have that long-term goal. And so did that thinking of like the goal planning, like did that come from family? Did that come from personal development, or kind of where does that come from?
Gosh, I would say maybe some entrepreneurships in my blood. I know my grandpa started a freight company. My mom's one of those people that's a serial entrepreneur that's, I think, started 50 businesses, yet none of them have taken off. So I have some entrepreneurship in my blood, but I honestly just like self-motivation and just believing in myself and telling myself like, you can do this. And I know what I want in life, and I know like, obviously some of the steps that it'll take me to get there, but it's all a process, and I just really believe in like the process and where I do want to be and how I want to be, have stability and have a family and all this stuff. So I always try and set myself up for the long-term, plan.
Yeah. There is, when I was working on that like 90 day, I was big on 90 days for the longest time, and then be like 90 days, and you're like, so now what? And there was like this, like you'd run, and then there'd be like, there was no long term, like, okay, we accomplished a short term goal. Now we already knew what the next one was. And I felt like I struggled with that confidence. And once I started to gain, like doing the long term, now it's like these sacrifices that you make, where you're going, and it's like worth the sacrifice because you're like, okay, I know I'm going there. Like
Exactly.
It's good. It's worth these hours because I know I got that. And I think a lot of it is just for a lot of people is they struggle with knowing where they're going and like building out their goals. Like, yeah, I want to be rich. Well, what does rich look like?
Yeah.
What is rich? Is it $100,000 in your bank account? Is it $1 million? And I think a lot of people, I can talk to people all the time. Oh, well, I'm going to move to the Bay Area. Okay, well, do you know how much it's going to cost? What kind of job do you need to have?
Right.
Like, well, you just make more in the Bay. Well, yeah, but like cost of living is three times the cost.
I think $120K is
low income.
Is low income. Yeah. So yeah,
100%. I had quite a few friends posting themselves like, "Yep, I guess I'm low income, like, or I'm on the border,"
Right.
And like, I mean, to most of America, $100,000 is living good. I mean, you go to a network marketing company, $100,000 is like you're leading the market. You're a leader in the company, and $100,000, especially living in the Bay Area, is a drop in the hat. And so when people, they don't factor those things in, and then they 10, 15 years down the road, they're like, I'm going to move to the Bay. They always got this like, I'm going to move, or I'm going to do this. And it's those I'm gonnas are the people that fail to build the plan. And you are a person of 100% action. Like this whole time you're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You had like multiple degrees, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like multiple degrees. Like,
yeah.
You don't just go through the motions. You're very much like, I know what I want. I'm going to get there. And I think a lot of people really struggle with that. So that's why I'm digging into these because as much as we could talk about the digital strategy, like you are a achiever. And in this time, I think we need to hear more people like you. I don't want somebody to tell me, oh, it's going to be all good. It's like we need to talk about the reality of the world. Like we got to take action. We got to start building. And one thing I love that you started with is you think everybody should have a side hustle.
Yeah.
And in this time right now, I have a friend that he's specializes in franchises and helping franchises start. And he says this time reminds him a lot of 2008 because this is the time that like people just got lost their job. They maybe saw their house disappear or saw their spouse or their friend's company go under. They saw almost some career tragedy. And so they are now going, you know what? I don't want my future in somebody else's hand. I'm going to go start something.
Right.
And I think side hustles is like the greatest thing. I think we live in such a cool time right now that there are side hustles in so many different ways. You run a full service agency, but then you're doing your own side hustle. Like most people, they go, oh, I'm already an entrepreneur. I run my own business. But like the side hustle is like where growth can happen and you can have some fun and do different things. How have you been able to incorporate different aspects of your side hustle? I mean, obviously, they kind of all work together in like one thing. But like, how have you been able to strategize? Okay, I have this, but then I also do this. Do you keep them separate or do you kind of have it all in like one plan? How have you been able to kind of develop these side hustles?
So the TV thing, that's something so easy that I can just fit into my schedule. So they go, does Tuesday at 2 p.m. work? Yeah, sounds great. No, it doesn't. And then I just move it into another day. So it's able to really, I'm flexible with my schedule so I can do that. And like I said, I'm meeting with businesses. So if anything, it benefits my ultimate business. Like I've even gained clients out of it because they get to know me. They know I can help with their business. The TV stuff, I'm actually doing a commercial tomorrow morning. So, I block off 2 to 3 hours for that. And if anything, it keeps me sane too. And it gets me out of that work mode where I am that workaholic. But now I get to switch and do something fun and be on a commercial and get paid doing that.
Well, it's something for yourself too. It's a little bit more personal than the brand.
Totally. And so I fit that into my schedule. The TV, movie stuff, like I film on weekends, which is pretty cool. So it's like, yeah, I'm hustling Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday come, and I'm going to go film a movie. So I can fit that into my schedule. And everyone's like, I just don't have enough time. And I'm like, no, you just got to make the time, and the small goal actions, like I was just thinking, like for me, is reaching out to like a new potential client every day, whether that's LinkedIn, DMing, anything like that. And then every month I have goals, like I need to have at least 2 new clients that month. So I would say those are like the short-term goals that I do have, but it's important. I like you've kind of said, I'm just like that long-term because I think the short-term, if you get too wrapped up in it, you just get flustered and then you lose motivation if you didn't meet it in your 30 days. And you need to be thinking of the long-term and just taking those baby steps towards it. But just fitting in your side hustles whenever you can and doing them, it's not only helps you get another stream of revenue, but it takes you out of something that maybe you're just so invested in, and it helps you, put your brain somewhere else to make new connections somewhere else that all funnel into your business ultimately.
Yeah. And I love what you just said there. It's additional stream of income.
Yeah.
And we share a mutual friend, Eugene. My guest number 1 on episode number 1. Great episode.
The biggest network marketer I've ever met.
Yes. Yes. And but what I've always told people about Eugene is that, because we met through Prepaid Legal or Legal Shield.
Yeah.
And I was the presenter the night that he came out and looked at it. I don't remember a lot of people from the early days of Prepaid, but I vividly remember this guy. And he has been able to build this book of business with Prepaid Legal and now with WFG. And it's never been about replacing how much he makes with Xyral or any of his other projects he's ever been. It's always been about building additional stream of income. And I think when it comes to side hustles, it's been something running around my head a lot. People evaluate it as will this or will this not replace my current income?
Right.
But it's not about replacing your current income. It's about building those additional streams of income, because that's where wealth's built.
Yes.
And I always use Eugene as an example. I'm like, dude, Prepaid Legal or network marketing isn't about replacing your job.
Yeah.
It's about building an extra $250, $500, $1,000 a month that comes in. And I mean, Eugene just posted something the other day and it was I don't know, 15 new memberships in Legal Shield. And he's clearly been focused on what's going on with World Financial Group.
Yeah.
And not on Prepaid Legal. And so to see that, and he's like, man, this is what it's all about, is building additional streams of passive income.
Yeah.
And I love seeing it because it's so inspiring, because that's the goal. It's building multiple streams of income. And so that if you do lose, heaven forbid, your agency goes under one day and just all of a sudden that's just not a world for you, you have all these other things that have been built. And that's where, in this time especially, we've seen people just all of a sudden lose their jobs. I mean, we have record numbers of unemployment. And there are a lot of people, thank God that, I don't know if it's thank God, but, the state was able to create stimulus for them with the unemployment. But so many people had a scary time losing their job. And that's a roller coaster. I remember in 2008, my job that I had, we got furloughed, and all of a sudden we were working 4 days a week, and that seemed really cool. And then they were like, by the way, you're not getting paid for the 5th. And you're like, wait a second, I need that money.
Right.
I live paycheck to paycheck darn near. And that was a very scary moment for me. And that was literally right before I joined Prepaid Legal. So this was and that was the reason that I joined, was I want to create stability for myself. And so right now, I think we're going to see so much of that with people wanting to create their side hustles and doing that. And I think one of the easiest ones, and I want to circle back to this, is your personal brand. You have been able to do so much through just building your brand. Obviously, you've been doing the TV for 5 years, longer than your agency. And so for you now, at this point, it's just something you do.
Yeah.
But your brand has really been something that just continuously brings you more opportunities.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really want to pick at is your networking. You're talking about DMing. You have so many different ways of connecting with people, and obviously we have some mutual friends, but you seem to know a lot of people, and that's a priority for you. When did that become a priority, and why? I mean, obviously we understand why, but kind of why? How did you come to that conclusion?
So I would say when I started my business, I was like, okay, I've got to be a really big networker. And I love people. So I love talking to people and meeting them. So I was like, okay, this is going to be easy for me. So I just really took it upon myself to start DMing, start networking even via LinkedIn, and saying, researching that company and going, gosh, I do love your company. I would love to work with you. Not just, spamming people, but I'm really strategic on who I do reach out to. If it's a company that I do want to work with and that I could see a future, we're a relationship. Is there a future together? So being really strategic with that. But I mean, networking has really got me to where I am today. And it's crazy how you meet one person and then maybe you run into them in 2 years and they go, oh, I remember you. Oh, you have a marketing company now? Oh, come on in, let's talk, or, oh, I saw you on TV, and someone sees me outside and they go, oh my gosh, I saw you on TV, and then they own a business. I mean, so many different ways to network are always just following people and interacting with them and finding other people maybe that are similar with interests and things like that, even in regards to your personal branding. I'm not afraid to reach out to people, and I'm not afraid to introduce myself. And you can't be in this world. You have to, walk across the room and say, hey, I'm Marilyn, and this is what I do, this is who I am. So it's you just have to be able to step out of that comfort zone. And I'm so big on be able to step out of your comfort zone and look for that change and be comfortable with change and all of that stuff.
Well, you're your comfort zone only keeps you at where you're at.
Right.
You know, you would never have the network that you have or the business that you have if it wasn't for developing that extension of your comfort zone. I mean,
funny story I was going to say.
Okay.
So even in regards to that, my boyfriend that I have now, I saw him at the gym and we had known each other for a while, but I was like, you know what? I want to talk to him a little bit more. so I go, hey, can you help me do pull-ups? And he was like, yeah, sure. And that's how our relationship started. Even I tell girls that don't have boyfriends, I'm like, don't wait for a guy to come up to you. Go up to the guy. Most guys are scared. Yeah. Like, go up to him and start a conversation. Just say, hey, this is my name. Like, what do you do? Yeah. Or, hey, and I'm like, hey, guys, ladies in the gym, this is the easiest way to pick up a guy. You just say, hey, can you help me out with pull-ups? And then you start talking. Like, even in your personal life, I mean, just stepping out of your comfort zone is so beneficial. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. You mentioned earlier about, like, in public settings where you're like, I just got to go across the room and go introduce myself. Yeah. I remember when I was... It's still, weirdly enough, I'm super comfortable talking to people. But when I'm in like a big setting and I don't know a lot of people, I get scared shitless.
Yeah,
I'm
the same way.
And I just start overthinking. I'm like eating nuts and like getting more coffee. And I'm like drinking like 10 cups of coffee. Yeah. And like, and I just need somebody to talk to. And like, as soon as I do it, then it's just like everything else goes away. It's just the ice is broken and you're going. And I think it's just that fear of just, I don't know if it's rejection. I don't know what it is that holds people back, because people say it's the fear of rejection. I don't think it's really the fear of rejection. It's just like the fear of the unknown. But like there's more often than not, there's something that happens when you meet that person. That person that you're afraid to talk to is the person that is the door to the next opportunity. And right now, I think especially too, you mentioned a lot about DMing people or on LinkedIn and social media. If you don't want to talk to people and you're scared to talk to them face to face, perfect. Figure it out on digital right now. And then when Corona clears up, we can go back to breaking that part of the ground. And on the digital aspect too, you mentioned doing a little research and finding out this company is actually somebody that you want to deal with and learning about them. Because I mean, we're both on LinkedIn and oh my gosh, you just get constant spam. Yeah. And I see, because I'm in the RTA syndicate as well, and I see people posting about like, here's how you gain clients on LinkedIn. And then you read some of the things, you're like, no, dude, do not just DM everybody that connects with you and just say, hey, let's do business. Like, no, nobody wants to do business with you, because we all get those DMs. Right. And it's the same. Like, do you open them? No, I don't open them either. No. So why would you do that same thing? And it's really learning about how to connect with people. At the end of the day, we're in the people business. Everybody wants to talk to somebody that cares about them. Nobody wants to be spammed. And, there is no shortcut to building connections. And one of my last guests, Matt Foster, is this guy. Now, after you've been on this podcast, I guarantee you guys will talk. Because I'm just Matt. I love you, Matt. So I'm not. But he connects with everybody. And he shared with how he utilized this time to connect with people on LinkedIn that probably would have never responded to him. And he realized that quickly, like, oh my God, like I'm getting people that would never have time of day to talk to me that are now willing to like take appointments. And, he was on some podcasts and he was on things that like he would have never, no knock on him, but just these guys are big time players. And they were like, yeah, I got some time. I'll take a call. Yeah, I'm willing to do this. Mm-hmm. And I saw the same thing. I was getting introductions with people that I should not have been talking to in the scheme of business that were like, yeah, cool. I'll take a call with you. Like, let's talk. And you're like, whoa. And so I think this is a great, I hate to say this is a great opportunity, because even though everything just got locked back down. Yeah. If you miss the first wave of these opportunities, this is the second wave.
It's your second chance.
At it. Like, this is a rare time that we get a second chance. Right. Pray to God that we're not closing down a third freaking time. I know. But there are people that are legitimately just like willing to take. I messaged a few different people on LinkedIn that I would have never imagined that would have been willing to talk to me, and they're like, yeah, cool, I got time for you. We hosted for our Level Up Society, we hosted a call with some amazing speakers, and like, every one of them was like, yeah, I'm available at 7 o'clock on Thursday. And it was like, that would have never happened, And so for us to be able to launch these digital events and get those speakers up there, we would have never been able to do that other than this time. So this is a rare opportunity for people to connect and to build that network. And so even if you're not building, your business is not in business right now, or you haven't even begun, investing in just building your connections. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of people that you met before, or you met through the process that are now coming back. And that's the power of social media, is being able to, we met I think on digital like 3 years ago.
Gosh,
it's been a while.
It has been. Yeah, you know,
because Eugene was the first person who was like, you guys got to meet.
Yes, you know, when I met with him when I started my business 3+ years ago, he was like, you need to meet Billy. You were the first person he mentioned, and now we're here 3 years later.
Thank you, Eugene.
Yeah, thanks, Eugene.
How did you guys meet?
Oh gosh, how did we meet? I think just through
two
mutual
great
friends.
networkers.
I know.
How the hell did that happen?
Just through friends, I think it was.
Well, I guess if you're from San Mateo, he's from out there, so.
Yeah,
okay.
And so when I started my business, he was the first person I went to. And I said, hey, I need help. Do you know anybody that could utilize this stuff? And that was just when I was a one-man band, but, you know, and it's grown a lot since then. But, yeah, I mean, networking is just crazy. I reached out to, I think he's like the CEO, and I don't want to mention the name, but like top 100 company, 100 years old. Yeah. And reached out to him, just said, hey, you know, your brand's pretty old. I was like super honest. I'm like, your brand's old. And you're trying to reach millennials. Yeah. I'm like, I'm a millennial. Yeah. I own a business and I think I could really help you. Let's have coffee at Starbucks. Okay. Like, it's just crazy the people that, if you can reach out and give them the right message and not just act like you're trying to sell something, but provide value and really say like, hey, I see the problem. Like, I can fix it. X, Y, Z. This is who I am. You're going to get a meeting.
Yeah, and but it's this rare time right now.
It is, yeah.
A lot of other times they wouldn't, and also companies are willing to be a little adventurous and explore new opportunities because some things aren't working, or they realize like, oh my God, like we've really got to pivot and go this way.
Yeah. And
so there are so many opportunities right now in this rare time, and we can either look at it as a bad time and go, well, let's just chalk it up as a loss. 2020 is over, or move on. And I saw something today that was like, this 2020 will either be the year that broke you, the year that you skipped, or the year that you dominated, or something along those lines. But it really is like there are a lot of people that are sitting back and are going to just watch this year just disappear. Versus you, who's like, all right, I'm DMing, I'm doing this, I'm pivoting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you're constantly adjusting, plan, do, review kind of mentality of adjusting the plan and figuring out how you can find the success for yourself. And it's funny because like I can't get like a definite answer about like how you do your goal planning or how, and not that I'm looking for it, but like so often people want to find but how do you do it? And you're like, I just do it. And at the end of the day, high achievers just do things. Like we can plan, but at the end of the day, you didn't even know the name of your agency when you got your first 2 clients. Like I didn't get a piggyback on that, but like it just proves that you don't even need a name to go get the clients. You just got to go do it. And action will always trump your planning. You can plan yourself to and create the greatest plan ever. But if you don't do anything, you'll never achieve anything. And so it's always about taking action. And you can always plan, go back and build a new plan, but it's about taking action. And right now is the greatest time to jump off the cliff and see what the hell happens.
I agree.
And we had a couple employees that, they went on unemployment. We unfortunately had to lay some people off, and they utilized that time. They're like, yo, I'm going to take this time. I'm going to figure out what the next chapter is for my life. And they really took action on that. And whether you're an entrepreneur or you're an employee that maybe got laid off, like this is an opportunity to reinvent yourself. And I remember back in 2008, that was like, I was entering the workforce for me. So it was like a very traumatic situation because I was like, okay, I'm going to work in corporate America. I worked for city government at the time, but I was like, all right, I'm doing this thing, stability, safe, great income. And all of a sudden it was like gone. And it was this like eye-opening experience, like nothing is promised.
Yeah.
And it was the moment that I was like, all right, I need to create my own future. I need to be in control of that. And I think too many people have spent the last 10 years just kind of coasting, but you've really dictated so much of where your life's going. I can't wait to see what happens in like the next 10 years because it's going to be really crazy. Like you deserve all the accolades that you've achieved and only going to continue to achieve. So with that, okay, so we've talked about the past, what you're currently up to. What's the future look like? What I mean, obviously a lot is a question mark, but like, where are you working towards? Like, what is the long-term vision for yourself?
I would say long-term is to have my company. I really would want it to be always personalized, but have like 10 to 20 clients in the Central Valley, and then the Bay Area, I have 10 to 20, LA, San Diego, like really focus on just California, and always have that personalized aspect of the agency, but be able to travel to the Bay Area and go to San Diego one week and just meet with different clients, something like that. I don't want to be this huge agency that has, hundreds of clients ever. like I said, I love that personal approach. So just keeping it really tuned in and having those, small firms throughout all of California. I definitely want to do more commercials and TV and movie stuff. My plan is to win some type of award one day with one of those. So
with your film, are you doing those in the Fresno area, or are you traveling for that?
Yeah. So you'd be surprised. There's a lot of opportunities in Fresno because it's too expensive to film in LA and San Francisco. So they come to the Central Valley to film like big movies, which is really cool. And I haven't been on like a big movie set yet, but it's, again, you have to do the little steps to make it to the big time. So, and there's a lot of great directors in Fresno and movie production studios. So they bring these concepts and ideas here, and then you have a lot of like a great actor base. And so we film it. And so I've done a lot of that stuff. I've been on like farmersonly.com commercials, and Visalia, agency films that, and which is just crazy. Again, just another connection. The guys that filmed the Gallows movie that got picked up by Warner Brothers, they're from Fresno. I just met with them last week. They invited me to like a script reading. So it's like, and they've seen me and doing stuff, so they invited me there. And again, it's just one of my passions. So I mean, one day I want to turn that into something more, which I think could be a really great stream of revenue. But I always want to have my agency and growing that, because I am really passionate about doing all of it. And I always told myself I would never just drop everything, like move to LA and be a waitress, and like nothing against them. That is pure hustle. But I was like, I know there's something more for me. And if I ever was to, do more stuff in LA, I need to at least know that I have a steady income coming in, and that there's something behind me backing, these ambitions and these dreams that I have.
It's a very scary jump. I had a friend a few years ago that graduated college, had the career going, and was like, I'm going to drop it all and go be an actor. And everyone's like, what? Like, and it was, I mean, all props to him. This guy has like worked his butt off and has created massive success for himself, and now is in some fairly large movies. But it was like, I mean, there was some, I'm sure, very difficult times for him where he had to really put in the work, but that's a big risk. I mean, like you say, most waitresses and waiters are actors, you know, in that LA area. And then my fiance actually works in film as well, but she's in San Francisco. So that's why I was curious. So
too funny.
I'm gonna have to tell her to look at the Fresno area.
Yeah.
But she tends to go up there a lot in San Francisco. But we've talked about like, okay, like the strategy is get to Southern California. Right. We see the long term, but it's like building the building blocks so that when she goes there isn't this like, she has to end her whole life and like go be a waitress, and like, no, she's building, like, that's the crazy thing about now is you can build these other sources of income and build stability and then go connect there. Or like, she was before Corona going down there every other week and working with like YouTubers and different things like that, like building up her brand down there and then coming home. And there's so many unique ways to like build towards that long term without dropping everything and going and become a waitress. And I think that's like the really cool thing about this current day and age, where you don't have to necessarily be in LA all the time, So
yeah, and again, it just goes back to the networking. And the small film I just did like a few weeks ago was during the coronavirus. It was a small crew, but the the co-actor was from LA.
Oh, wow.
Then they brought in the director who was from LA, who is partners with I can't think of the movie right now, but a huge movie. And it's like all those connections. Then I got connected to their manager, who's now my manager in LA, and he got me a gig here and there. So it's like just taking those opportunities and just connecting with people. That's all you got to do.
The best investment you can ever make is into your network. Like, it's not stocks, it's not real estate, it is your network.
Right.
I mean, all those other ones are great, right?
Yeah.
But like literally all opportunities come from our network. I mean, the different people that we all know, it's like those people are all about opportunities and growing, and that's where most of your opportunities come, is meeting more people.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how you can like network back opportunities. You're like, oh, because I met that person introduced me, this person, this. And it's about putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, and being willing to connect with people. And one thing that I also noticed from you is like, you just say, I don't want to say yes to everything, but you like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, when I asked you about this, you're like, yeah, cool, let's do it. Like, let's figure out the date, and it seems like everything you do is very geared towards like, let's do it. And so you take all the opportunities that come your way.
For the most part, yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's within reason, but like, it seems like you're very much like, yeah, let's go do it. Let's go do it. Versus like, let me think about that one. Like,
who's Billy? Is he cool enough? Who's his podcast reaching? It's like, no, because one day down the road in 5 years, you could be the #1 podcast on Apple, And it's like, oh, I was at the forefront of it. And that's just the way I think of it. It's like, okay, it's a stepping stone. Yeah. it's gonna benefit me somehow.
Well, and you never know that one person that listens. I mean, like you said, that one or two people that watch the IG live, that one or two people could be that person that you needed to hear or needed to see you.
Right.
That was like, I was looking for an agent or agency that could help me with this. Like, oh my gosh, they happen to be right down the street from me, or you know, whatever it is. And it happens like that often. Like literally, we were at EJ's house last year. I met EJ last year, and EJ posted like Instagram stories like all the way from Modesto, you know, Billy Anderson. And then I get a DM from this guy that's like, yeah, I live in New York. I know EJ, but I'm moving to Modesto. I'm like, New York? And then now this is a guy that like he's worked with. He's a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like that all came from me just being like, yeah, EJ, I'll just jump on your podcast.
Right.
And then he ended up partnering with us on when we were donating food to the local hospitals and helped collaborate with that. And like all that came from me just jumping on EJ's podcast, let alone that EJ's become one of my closest friends, has brought other opportunities to me. I brought opportunities to him. Eugene and him are roommates right now.
I know, it's crazy.
You know what I mean? It's like all that happened from just like jumping out there and like, you know, putting yourself out there. And it's obviously there has to be calculated, and the more you grow, it becomes more calculated, but you got to just be willing to go out. And if you've got tons of time on your hands, go out and try things. And so one thing I gotten from this is like, I got to do more. This is like me when I go to Huntington. Yeah. Okay. You make me feel bad. Okay.
I feel really good.
No, but you legitimately are. You don't just run an awesome company, but you do so much. Like if we didn't even talk about your agency and just talked about you, like people would be like, damn, like this girl does a lot. But then on top of it, I mean, we could have either literally just talked about your agency or just talked about your personal self, and you do more than way more than the average person. Yeah. And so that speaks a lot to the volume of opportunities that have come your way, but it's because you've said yes to so many things or been willing to put yourself out there and connect with people. So, I mean, I literally am like, I got to go DM more people. I got to get to work. So I appreciate you just sharing all this. Like, and you're a special person that is willing to just go after what they want. And I hope that everybody that's watching this is getting that from you and understands that same type of life is available to them. Yeah. And it just takes just doing it and starting. And I'm sure that because you clearly have been doing this type of mentality of like, I want this and I'm going to go get it for a long period of time. But like the mind is a muscle as well, and we can develop it, and it gets easier and easier and easier over time. Just like any, walking or working out, like that gets easier as you go, and you can run further, or you can walk further, you can lift heavier, any of those things. The mind is the same way as our physical body. And you are only going to continue to get better. And that's what everybody needs to understand, is that while they may not be where you're at, they're going to get there. And if they just stay on the path and the consistency. Yeah.
And I hope that, just talking, I inspire other people. Like you said, like you can do anything you put your mind to. I have not been given handouts. Like, some people may look at me and like, oh, she probably got given all this stuff. No. I worked my butt off to get to where I am today. And anyone can do it. You just have to, like I said, put little steps in motion and just start doing. Like my thing is just action. Don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, but it's really the truth. We love to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
We love to talk about stuff. And, and people get caught up in like, I don't want to deal with the haters or whatever. The only people that are hating are the people that are talking about what they want to do in life, like, and they don't do it. Like the people that take action aren't talking about anybody else other than just like focus on action, right. And that's what you got to be. You got to be focused on action. Don't worry about what other people are saying. Nobody's really talking to you anyways. Nobody's really talking shit. People are just inspired by you. More often than not, people aren't telling me, "Hey, Billy, you made me feel bad." Like they're like, dude, that inspired me. And so when you put yourself out there, you inspire others to go achieve more. And I hate when people talk about haters on social media, because
who cares about the haters?
I don't really think there's that many out there, but like one person will message you, but there's probably 10 people that were inspired by that same post that one person talked bad about. And so, I everybody needs to go follow you. You've got a lot. I mean, we didn't even talk about a lot of stuff. I mean, you're a female entrepreneur that takes pride in working with other female entrepreneurs. Clearly, your team is predominantly a female team. Obviously, being a female, you're obviously proud of who you are. Yeah. But like, how much is that important? And have you dealt with any objections being a female entrepreneur?
No, yes and no. I don't want to, most of my clients are male, and it's only because I really have not come across too many female-owned businesses, unfortunately. I would say in the last 6 months, I've definitely gotten more female clients, which is great. But it just shows you, like, there needs to be more female starting businesses. It's funny. I've had a lot of clients say, Marilyn, I was hesitant on hiring you just because you're a female. But I was really pleasantly surprised to start working with you and to see what you can do and bring to the table. And just the way you carry yourself and just your overall, like, who you are. And I mean, that right there was like almost made me cry. I was like, I'm a female, but I can bring as much to the table as any male can and do it in a tasteful way, So yes, I've gotten some objection, but it's never hindered me getting a job or a client by any means, which has been really great. And maybe it has, maybe I don't even know it, but just in the forefront, I've been told that before, but multiple times, which is really great. And I do like to inspire females to, start a business. Don't be afraid to enter the workforce. And even if you don't want to own your own business, ask for that raise or be in a male predominant industry. I mean, all those things I think are awesome. And it just shows you, like, I can do anything a male can do. What can 100%. They do better than me? Yes, we're different, but I mean, it's actually been, I haven't really had any objection, which is great. Awesome. I'm sure I might experience something down the road, so I don't want to say it's all, butterflies and daisies. Game,
right? There's always somebody,
There's always somebody, but it's been, it's been great. I can't really complain. And yes, I love working with males. I do have some males on my team and in different avenues, so that always helps as well. But yes, I do have a predominantly female team.
And I only share that I'm always hesitant because I don't want it to be like, oh, you're a woman, that's why we're talking. No, like, I think you're a badass, period. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. But I think often, like, I know from talking to my fiance and then other friends of mine that are females they struggle finding inspirations that are like that.
Right.
And so I share that because I want people to know, like, this is somebody that leads a team that, like, I mean, she really stands for who she is and is a great example of somebody to look up to and to be inspired by. And so I hope people jump on and start following you because you're up to some great stuff. You have great energy. Like, you're extremely focused, extremely intelligent with what you do. You are good at what you're very good at what you do. And hopefully after this podcast, we talk a little business as well, but, you have just been able to become a industry pro and a inspiration to many people in a lot of different industries, whether you're female or male, you're very inspiring. So
thank you.
We're already, I felt like this was like a 20-minute podcast. I was like, we're just like firing it off. And I'm like, oh, it's an hour and 20.
Was it really? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Okay.
So with that, I don't want to keep everybody for too long. How can people find out more about you, your agency, and just everything you're up to?
So follow me on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's mainly where I'm pretty active. MarilynM.tv. That's my personal brand one. And then my business is PR Social. So you can follow me on any of those, and you'll always see what we're up to and what we're doing. We have a website, obviously, and I have a YouTube channel that I post some of my TV stuff on. So if you want to follow that side of things, I'm on a ton of different avenues, but I'd say the Instagram's
I'm sure Instagram you've got like a link tree or something that leads you to everywhere else because you're on LinkedIn as well. And you're all over there. How much have you loved LinkedIn right now? I mean, I feel like as a B2B, that's just the greatest
I almost
platform.
don't want to tell people about LinkedIn.
Yeah, like that hidden little gem.
Don't talk anymore about it. Cut
this part of the podcast
No more
out.
LinkedIn. Yeah, it's ended. Yeah. No, it's honestly very great. It's awesome.
I love it. And so I try to funnel people towards it because some people are like, oh, that's for when I need a job. I'm like, no, this is it's such a fun platform. So
I reached out to Liquid IV, the owner.
Yeah.
Hater didn't respond back to my message.
Man.
So if he watches this, but
I hope he watches this.
I hope he watches this.
It's an accomplishment for me.
Right? I was like, and most of the time I'll get a pretty good response rate. But he was the only one that read my message and didn't respond back. But I was like, hey, like, I am a huge fan. I buy too much of your Liquid IV and I love it. Like $80 a week. Like, it's terrible. And I was telling him this and I was like,
this is where the energy comes from.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I don't know if you're working with anyone, but I just want to be a part of what you're doing. Like any day, let me know. I just want to like talk to you. So maybe down the road he'll, reach out. But LinkedIn's a great networking place.
I love just even how you just gave an example of like how you're reaching out, like however I can be involved. And that's how sometimes it is. It's just like, I don't need an objective. I'm just like, I want to connect with you.
Right.
And there's a lot of power in that one. So anyways, I don't want to.
No more.
Easily we can tangent off forever. So I really appreciate you taking this time. I'd love to have you back on again. The goal of this podcast is not to just like interview and then be like, oh, well, we heard their story, we move on. Like, you're obviously up to a lot of great things, and we want to bring people back on that especially here in the Central Valley, that are up to some great stuff and just continue to inspire and educate our community here with the Level Up Society and Level Up podcast. So guys, with that, thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate you so much. Keep crushing it. Anything I can do to support you, let me know. But guys, make sure you go follow her and make sure you subscribe to our podcast and drop the comment below and review us and let us know how you like this podcast. And if you got something from it, share it with all your friends and family. So guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys back for the next episode.